following video is not made for kids. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello to my subscribers, this is the TFangit coming to you with a review of the Transformers Generations Orville Cybertron Trilogy Kingdom Voyager class as Generation 1 Autobot Inferno. So, when it was announced that Generation 1 Inferno was being given a Voyager class figure in the Transformers Kingdom line, a lot of Transformers fans and collectors were surprised and, well, not surprised, that is what I meant to say. Not surprised and anticipated that Inferno would be a mold mates with Earthrise Grapple that was released last year in 2020. And I gotta say, even though it was expected that Inferno will be mold mates with Grapple, just like the Generation 1 action figures, I think Inferno turned out pretty amazing. I can't really show it right now on his box, but an issue that plagued Earthrise Grapple, some pegs that kept breaking on Grapple. Hasbro and Cards when we fixed those on Inferno. So that's pretty great to see. Here on the back of the box, Inferno, there's the product photos of his robot mode and his alternate mode of an Earth fire truck, and he transforms between both modes in 17 steps. Up here on top of the box, Inferno is an Autobot. On this side, you got some artwork of Inferno. Here it is, continuing out to the front of the box, showing his alternate mode. I got Inferno a few months ago when he was first released in, I believe it was Wave 2 of the Kingdom line when Inferno was released. A lot of collectors who were particularly Beast Wars fans were hoping that we were getting Beast Wars Inferno in the Kingdom line. But it's been confirmed that we are getting a Voyager class figure of Beast Wars Inferno next year in the Transformers Legacy line, so that's really great to know. So here is Inferno out of the box, and in his robot mode, and yes, he is mold mates with Earthrise Grapple, who I will bring out in a second. So, just like Grapple, Inferno comes with the exact same accessory pieces of a laser gun, and he also comes with this spray nozzle type weapon. A lot of Transformers fans and collectors said that it could be a welding torch for Grapple. In the Generation 1 cartoon series, I believe Inferno had the ability of switching out his hand with this, and he would use it to spray water. He also has a water sprayer here on the top of one of his shoulders. That's the new accessory piece Inferno comes with that is included in place of the grappling claw that was given to Earthrise Grapple. And of course, turning on here to the side, one of the main retooling here on Inferno is that since he transforms into a fire truck, he now has a ladder in place of Grapple's crane boom arm. So that, again, that's I'm really amazed with all the retooling that went into Inferno. He also has the I don't know what you would call that, the helmet wings, things that stick out of the sides of his helmet, which was a defining feature on the Generation 1 version of Inferno, so it's nice to see that there. And of course, he has an Autobot logo on his chest. Technically, it is a red Autobot logo, but because Inferno is red, it looks like it's just a white outlined Autobot logo. Inferno does have the same articulation as Grapple. You can rotate his head left and right, but because it's surrounded by this large open-topped helmet that encases his head, and it would be really difficult for Inferno to look left and right. The crane arm does just hang off the back of him, but the Generation 1 version of Inferno did that as well. The arms can rotate forward and backwards 360 degrees. The arms can go outward this much, and just like Grapple, there's an additional piece right there on the shoulder joint, so it doesn't look like Inferno's broken his arm at the shoulder. Bicep swivels, hinged elbows, no articulation at the wrists and the hands due to how they flip in and out. So you can give Inferno two fists if you want, or you can actually put both his hands in and attach his accessory pieces to the ends of them. He does have a waist swivel, so he can rotate at the waist left and right there in 60 degrees. He can do a full split due to having universal jointed hips. The legs can go forward and backwards 180 degrees. And the ladder is thin enough and the legs are spaced out far enough that you can rotate the legs backwards without hitting the ladder. Swivel joints in the thighs, but I would recommend being careful using the thigh joints on Inferno, and that's because Inferno's upper legs are, in fact, the upper leg pieces right here on Inferno. These are, in fact, black plastic that's been painted red. Ed, why in the world Hasbro and Dakar told me didn't just make those pieces red is beyond on me, but I guess they figured since they used black ones on Grapple and then they painted them more orange, painting them red on Inferno would work as well. You got a it feels like a hinge joint in the knee, but it's actually a ratchet joint, but it's not super loud. Now you can feel the clicks when you move it, but it's not too noticeable. The feet can technically point downward, but that's primarily a transformation joint. And the legs can move inward and outward at the ankle, so you have ankle tilts if you want to give Inferno a sprawl-legged pose. And you do have the option of putting Inferno's spray nozzle on his right hand and putting his laser gun on the left hand if you so desire. The spray nozzle on Inferno's shoulder, there is a sculpted 5mm peg on that side, but not the other, so that is always attached on the same shoulder on Inferno. So for a quick size comparison in robot mode, here's Inferno next to his old mate of Earthrise Grapple. I decided, since I gave Inferno the spray nozzle, to leave out both of Grapple's fists, and so here's the accessory piece Grapple comes with that was replaced by Inferno's spray nozzle of the grappling hook, and I just pointed the nozzle on the bottom of it just for fun. But yeah, the parts on Inferno and Grapple that are different, the entire head section on Inferno and Grapple is different. The robot mode head itself and the helmet that it sits inside, it is different on Inferno and Grapple. Here on the back, you can see Inferno's ladder compared to Grapple's boom arm. But other than that, and of course coming with two different accessory pieces, everything else on Inferno and Grapple is the same. So basically, if you were to decapitate them and remove the backpacks and flop out put aside the accessory pieces, then you end up with two copies of the exact same figure, just done in different colors. Now, I said that there was a part on Grapple that was fixed on Inferno, and it's these right here. These 5mm pegs here on Grapple's backpack would infamously break off because they are super fragile, and the way Grapple transforms, if you try and unhook arms, when you transform this mold from robot mode to vehicle mode, these pegs on the backpack end up inserting into these 5mm pegs here on the bottom of the feet. And the way the figure transforms is that if you were to pull the robot mode feet out to the side, then these pegs would snap off very easily on Grapple, and so you have to always transform the feet going downward instead of out to the side. And one of the main problems, I don't know how my camera's going to be able to show it, but if you look right in there, these 5mm pegs are in fact hollowed out. They aren't solid cylinders, and so infamously, Earthrise Grapples, these two 5mm pegs break off extremely easily, and Grapple has been criticized as being one of the weaker figures of the Earthrise line due to those 5mm pegs, but on Inferno, Hasbro and Tomy addressed that issue and they fixed it. The two 5mm pegs on Inferno's backpack, they're slightly smaller, so they won't catch on the feet if you accidentally forget to transform the feet by flipping them downward instead of out to the sides. And they are solid, they aren't hollowed out like they were on Grapple. And looking at how much shorter Inferno's 5mm pegs are compared to Grapple, I think the same amount of plastic was used on these pegs, but removing the hollowed out bits and shortening them to make the pegs solid. It definitely works on Inferno. There's been no reports on Inferno breaking at all. And for those of you wondering why is it my copy on Earthrise Grapple that neither of the two 5mm pegs have broken off, that's because I filed them down very carefully with some sandpaper and paper, and I made them thinner than they were before, so Grapple can transform without the pegs getting stuck. That was another problem with Inferno. Even though these pegs are supposed to be 5mm thick, the pegs that they insert into when you transform the mold into robot mode, instead of being circle-shaped, they're hexagon-shaped, so on Inferno, those 5mm pegs would get stuck very easily. They are somewhat tight on Inferno, but again, because the pegs are much shorter and they're now solid, they aren't hollowed out. out. It doesn't feel like they're going to break at all. So yes, transforming Kingdom Inferno is much easier than it is transforming Earthrise Grapple. And while we're on the subject of transforming, let's get Inferno transformed into his alt mode, and take a look at him in his fire truck mode. Alright, and here is Inferno transformed into his alternate mode of an Earth-style fire truck. And I am just amazed at how similar it looks to the original Generation 1 Inferno action figure. There is one noticeable difference. The designers at Hasbro and Takara were able to, with the new articulated joints that modern-day Transformers action figures now possess, the robot mode arms, unlike on the Generation 1 action figure where they would just sit out on the sides, they can now fold inward and form the center area of the truck. So I just really enjoy always seeing that at modern-day engineering used on this mold. And if you don't want Inferno's laser gun sitting on this side of the fire truck, you can have it sitting on this side. I put it on the other side because this side of the ladder up here is the only two spots where the two spray nozzles can sit. I think it would have been great if they had done pegs on both sides of the ladder, so you could have options of having them be on either side. Right. And similar to Generation 1 Inferno, you can leave the ladder extended outward when he's transformed into his fire truck mode. So if he arrives on an emergency scene, he has his spray nozzle right there to spray and put out any fires that might be in front of him. And of course, for one last size comparison, here he is next to Earthrise Grapple. Another feature on my copies of these two figures, at least, is that the swivel joint at the base of the ladder adder on Inferno, it's much tighter than the swivel joint used on Grapple's boom arm, because it just wants to swivel left and right, and it doesn't really stay put in place that well. But Inferno, as you can see right there, it's much sturdier than it is on Grapple. As you can see right there, Grapple, it just doesn't want to stay locked in place at all. And now that we're in alt mode, depending on how you transform the figure, those two 5mm pegs that were on the back of the robot mode head, here they are pegging to the bottom of the robot mode feet. They form the back section of the truck. And what a lot of collectors were doing was, as the way they transform into the base into the back right here on Inferno, most collectors, when they would reach back here, they'd pull it outward, thinking that it went out to the side, when it's actually supposed to, they're actually supposed to detach and reattach going up and down. And when they did it on Grapple, those 5mm pegs would just break off very easily. So yeah, for my copy of Grapple, filing them down and with sandpaper saved them from breaking. So it is a bit of a shame that Grapple had to be modified, but that's one of the reasons why I believe Inferno is the superior use of this mold, due to the 5mm pegs being fixed and no modifications having to be done on him to transform him correctly. But yes, overall, my final thoughts: do I recommend getting Kingdom Inferno, even if you do have Earthrise Grapple? Absolutely. With that one design flaw, the 5mm pegs formed at the base of the back of the truck, being fixed on Inferno. Inferno is the better version of this mold. And so I do highly recommend getting Inferno if you can. And I just love how true the War for Cybertron Trilogy figures of Inferno and Grapple are to the Generation 1 figures. Thank you guys all so much for watching. This has been the TFangy. This has been my review of Transformers Kingdom Inferno. I highly recommend getting this figure if you can find him. Thank you guys all so much, and until next time, you guys, transform and roll out. Goodbye, everyone.